Hello, and welcome to Conference Compass. Great to have you here. In this short video, we introduce you to our Excel templates, which will help you navigate them smoothly and understand the workings behind each entry. During the personal Excel training, your project coordinator will help you further customize the template specifically to your event. Let us start with opening the Excel template that was or will be sent to you by your project coordinator. The Excel template is divided into 6 categories. These categories reflect each element of your event: program items, posters, institutions, persons, classifiers, and lastly, places. Your project coordinator will have already tailored the template to meet your event requirements. So some of these categories may not appear in the Excel sheet sent to you. Entries in the Excel sheet are commonly linked to one another, such as a program item will have speakers and a location linked to it. To keep things easy and straightforward, we like to start with the categories that have the least dependencies. This will allow you to refer to it as you progress through each category. In practice, this means working from the right to left. So we start by adding places and end with program items. What kind of information should be added to each category? In places, you can add all the locations within the event, such as rooms, stands, and also booths. The classifiers are used to filter data, for example, to list program items per topic or session type, or to group your sponsors into gold and silver levels. In persons, you can add all the people that play a role in the event, such as chairs, speakers, and authors. Please note that this does not include attendees. In institutions, you can add the sponsors, exhibitors, or other organizations that need to be displayed in the app. The posters include the items that are a part of the event but do not have a designated start and end time. Lastly, the program items include the items that have a start and end time. Here, the program is structured by day and time frame. Per category, there are different columns depending on the information that can be added. Some columns you will see in multiple categories. Others are unique to a specific category. Which information should be added per column? The first column is for the ID. This needs to be created for each item that goes in the Excel sheet. The ID is the identifier of the object. It's used to relate objects to one another and has to be unique. To guarantee the identifier is written the same across categories, we advise you to not use capital letters or special characters. For easy recognition, it is best to use the name of the item. For example, Room 1 for place, Keynote as a classifier, J. Van Ast for person, Conference Compass for institution, P001 for posters, or S101 for program items. The configurator type is the data structure type under which an object is imported. We start with the category name followed by the type. For example, place: booth, classifier: topic. Only for posters and program items, we use another category name: program element: and time slot: Often, your project coordinator lets you know which type you need to use for your event. The name is the full name of the item and should be written in the same manner as it should appear in the app. Ordering name is used to order items in a list. By default, the lists are created alphabetically based on name. If the list should be ordered otherwise, add an ordering name. There are 2 types of subnames. The subname list is the subtitle that appears in a list under the name of the item and can include a maximum of 25 characters. The subname detail is the subtitle that appears under the name when opening the item to see it in detail and can include more characters, but we advise on keeping it short. More information can be found under the info column. For example, a biography, company description, session info, or an abstract. You can add this information as an HTML or unformatted text. The next 3 columns, place ID, classifier ID, and role ID can only be found in the categories Program Items, Posters, and Institutions. These columns refer to the specific attributes of a program item. For example, a session could have a room, a speaker, and a track attributed to it. A relation with these attributes is simply established using the unique IDs you have created in the categories Places, Classifiers, and Persons. In the Place ID column, we refer to the ID of the place that you want assigned to this object. For example, we copy the ID of room 1 and paste it here for this session. In the Classifier ID column, you can do the same thing. Just copy the ID of the classifier you want linked to the item. This can be to classify an institution as an exhibitor or sponsor, and a session to a specific topic. You can also add multiple classifiers to an item by adding new columns using an underscore and numbers going up, _2, _3, and so forth. The role ID column is to assign persons to a certain role for a program item. In the header of the column, you specify what the role will be for all the people mentioned in that column. As a result, you can add multiple columns like role ID _ role, moderator _1, or role ID _ role, speaker _1. If you have multiple persons for one role, add new columns with an underscore and numbers going up. In the link column, you can add any kind of URL. For example, a company's websites to institutions, or an online abstract to a poster. To add a URL, you need to use a specific format, which consists of 4 parts. The first part is the clickable text in the app. The second part is the configurator type of the link, often predefined by your project coordinator. The third is the URL. And the last part is used to display an icon or to ensure that links are opened correctly on all devices. Check the available link types and related icons on our support page. Besides URLs, you can also add an email address. In that case, link:contact will be the configurator type, and mail to is used in front of the email address. And the last part is used to display an email icon. If you have multiple links, again, add new columns with an underscore and numbers going up. In the final category, Program Items, the program has a hierarchical structure: days, timeframes, sessions, and presentations. This structure is established using the parent column. Days are considered as the root element and do not require a parent. The timeframes, sessions, and presentations are nested under each other and must always have a parent. In the parent column, you need to add the ID of the parent item. For example, use the ID of the day for the timeframes, the ID of the timeframes for the sessions, and the ID of the sessions for the presentations. You can add the days, timeframes, sessions, and presentations in any order you want, as long as the IDs and the parents are correct. Since every item in the Program Items category is timed, you also need to add a date, a start, and an end time. The dates should be added as year, month, day, and time in a 24-hour format. To avoid import errors later, make sure that the formatting is set to text or general, and not to custom. This concludes the video on our Excel template. Thank you for listening.